Good morning students. Welcome back to operating system class. In the last class, already I have explained what is the CPU scheduling and what is scheduling criteria, means on what basis you will select an algorithm, and how many types of scheduling algorithms we have. Okay, in the, yesterday already I have explained first come first serve scheduling algorithm, means whichever process enters into a queue first, that will be executed first, and whichever process enters into a ready queue at last, that will be executed at last. That is a first come first serve. As I said, for each and every algorithm you need to calculate the average waiting time. Okay, so if it is an efficient algorithm, then the average waiting time should be minimum. Okay, that already I have compared in a first come first serve scheduling and a shortest job first scheduling. In a shortest job scheduling, what happened? Whichever process is having less execution time, that will be executed, and whichever process is having a more execution time, that will be in a waiting state. Okay, there also we calculated the average waiting time, and in a shortest job first come first serve algorithm, there are two types. One is a preemptive and a non-preemptive. That also I have explained. Okay, means one process is running with some execution time, and a new process enters into a queue with the least priority, means with the less execution time. So what happened if the current process is removed from the processor and a new process is entered into a processor, and that is called as a preemptive. And if current process is executing and a new process is entered into a queue with the less execution time, then what happened internally? The new arrived process is at the head of the ready queue. Means immediately after the current process execution, new process will be entered into a processor, but the current execution process is not removed from the processor. That is called as a non-preemptive. Okay, so two algorithms I have already explained. One is a first come first serve, and the second one is a shortest job first scheduling. So based on that, you practice largest scheduling algorithm. Okay, largest job scheduling algorithm means, for example, same example you can take, but whichever process is having a more execution time, that will be executed first, means it is reverse to the shortest job, and you calculate the average waiting time. It is similar to your shortest job first scheduling algorithm. So I am giving that algorithm as a assignment to you. Okay, you practice. If you won't get, you tell me. I will explain that algorithm. It is reverse of shortest job. Means in the shortest job, what happened? The process which is having a less execution time, that will be executed first. But in a this longest scheduling algorithm, what happened? Whichever process is having a more execution time, that will be executed first. And this waiting time calculation, everything is same. You try. If you won't get, again I will explain. Okay, when we'll get live classes on, at that time I will explain. Now, okay. Now today here I am going to explain two more algorithms. The first one is priority, and the second one is a round robin. Okay, priority, and the second one is a round robin. So in a priority algorithm, actually what happened is, shortest job and first comes first serve model, process and execution time we have given. But in priority scheduling, one more column is added, and in that column, for each and every process, we'll give the priority, and based on the priority, the process are executed. Okay, here priority is nothing but the important. Example I am explaining in the class, Principal Sir has came. So he is having a more priority. So I need to leave the class and he will continue the class. So based on the priority, in that case, what happened? Based on the priority, the process, the lecturers are taking a class. Yes or no? So here also, for each and every process, we'll give the priority. So based on the priority, the process are executed. So previous example, what extra we are adding is, first one is the process ID, the second one is the execution time, and the third one is the priority. One extra column will be added. Okay. So in the priority, what we'll give is, we'll give the priority and that will be an integer. Okay, the which is having the process which is having a more priority, that will be number like 1, 2, 3. So based on that sequence, ascending order, that process will be executed. Clear? So in the priority, what happened? Actually, priority scheduling algorithm mainly will use batch system, means where bulk number of processes are ready to execute. Next, the second point is the process which is having more execution, more priority. The process which is having a more priority, that will be executed first. Okay, and the process which is having a least priority, that will be executed at last. Example, here we have a two process ID, and next execution time and priority. Example, 3 columns we have. Process P1, P2. Execution time 10, 5. But here we are giving the priority. The first one is a more and more important, like 1, 2. So previously whatever algorithms I have explained, that algorithms are based on the execution time. But now whatever algorithm I am going to explain, that is based on the priority. Even though here P1 is having a more execution time. P2 is having a less execution time. But which is important? P1 is important. So P1 is executed first. So I have given the priority 1, the process which is having a highest priority, that will be executed first. And the process which is having a least priority, that will be executed at last. Okay. Next example, these two processes are having the same priority, 1 and 1. Okay. So if any process is having a highest priority, that will be executed first. But example, if two processes are having the same priority, then how it will be executed? Yes or no? So when two processes are having the same priority, what happened? The process which is entered into a ready queue first. The process which is entered into a ready queue first, that will be executed first. And the process which is entered into the ready queue at last, that will be executed last. Means if any process is having the highest priority, that will be executed first. But if two processes are having the same priority, then what happened? The process which is entered into a ready queue, that will be executed first. Means there will use a first come, first serve scheduling. Okay. Again, here in priority scheduling also, there are two types. Okay. Priority scheduling again is divided into two types. One is preemptive. I already have explained preemptive, non-preemptive. Okay. What is the preemptive? Preemptive means if one process is executing, P1 is executing inside the processor. Okay. And P1 priority is 2 will get. Okay. P1 right now it is executing. And what is the priority of the P1? 2. And while P1 is executing, a new process is entered into a queue, P2, and its priority is 1. So here which process is having a more priority? P2 is having a more priority. So in that case, if the P1 is removed, if the P1 is preempted, if it is taking out from the CPU, then that is called as a preemptive priority scheduling. Okay, so if the new process arrives into a ready queue with the highest priority than the current process, then if the current process is preempted, if the current process is taken out from a processor and processor is given to a new process, then that is called as a preemptive scheduling. Preemptive priority, preemptive scheduling. Clear? Now, the second one is a non-preemptive. So in non-preemptive, what happened? P1 is executing right now. Okay? Means before the P2, P1 is having a highest priority. So P1 is executing. Now, while P1 is executing, P2 is entered with the highest priority. So what happened? Here, if it is a non-preemptive, then we won't take out this P1 from a CPU. CPU will continue its execution in a normal mode. Means it will complete normally. It will complete its execution, and after completing the execution of the P1, P2 will be entered into a processor. Till that time, P2 will be at the head of the ready queue. At the head of the ready queue means what? Means that should be executed first compared to the remaining process, because that process is having a more priority. Clear? If it is a non-preemptive and the new process is arrived with the highest priority than the current process, then what happened? The current process will complete its execution, and the new process which is arrived into the queue with the highest priority, that will be hold at the head of the ready queue. Means that will be the immediate next process loaded into a processor. That is a preemptive and non-preemptive. Okay, understood? Now you write this to preemptive and non-preemptive. Now I'll explain example of priority scheduling. I will explain the Gantt chart and the table of the process. Okay. Now I want you to see this here. As I said, process. Okay. Burst time is nothing but execution time. Next, this is the priority. Okay. How many columns we have? Process, burst time, priority. Okay. One extra column is added. So based on this, your process will be executed. Clear? Now, how many processes we have? P1, P2, P3, P4. P1 execution time is 21 and P2 execution time is 3. P3 execution time is 6 and P4 execution time is 2. But the priority is for P1 it is a 2 and P2 it is a 1 and P3 it is a 4 and P4 it is a 3. Okay, you take down this table. I will draw the Gantt chart. Okay, you take down this. Okay, now we'll draw the Gantt chart. So according to the table, we'll draw the Gantt chart. Here we have a 4 process. First, which is having a more priority? P2 is having a more priority. So first P2 and next priority is P1. P1 execution is a 21 milliseconds. Next priority is P4. Next P3. Okay. Okay. First P2 is having a first priority. If you want, you can say this. Priority table. Now, here P2 is having a first priority and P1 is having a second priority and P4 is having a third priority. P3 is having a fourth priority. Now, what is the execution time of P2? It is 3. So, 0 to 3. Clear? Execution time is 3. And next, what is the execution time of P1? 21. Okay, so 3 plus 21, 8 is a 24. First this 3, the P1 execution time is a 20. So what happened? 3 plus 21, sorry. 3 plus 21 it is 24. Next, what is the execution time of P4? 2. So 24 plus 2, 26. And what is the execution time of P3? 6. 26 plus 6, 32. Okay, so P1 execution time is 3 milliseconds. It is having a first priority, second priority, third priority, fourth priority. So 0 to 3, first. Next 3 to 24, second priority. Here it is the 21. Next here only the 2. Next for it is 6. Now you need to calculate the average waiting time. Okay, what is the waiting time of the P1? P1 is here 3 milliseconds. Next to P2, where is the P2? P2 waiting time is a 0 because that is having a more priority. Next come to a P3. P3 26. Okay, now P4 24. P4 equals to 24. Now you calculate the average waiting time. 26 plus 24, 50, 53. Total 53 by 4. You calculate how much you will get. 53, 4. 4 ones are 4, 1, 3. And 4 threes are 2, 12. So 13.2 you will get. Okay, so the average waiting time is 13.25 you will get. You compare this waiting time with the previous waiting times. Okay, now shortest job first and first come first serve also we calculated the average waiting time. You compare this two. This with shortest job first and first come first serve scheduling. Okay, we take out this. We will discuss the disadvantages. What disadvantages you have here? It is 3, 0, 26, 24. When you add this, you will get 53 by 4. 53 by 4 equals to 13.25. This is the average waiting time of priority scheduling. Clear? Now, here in a priority scheduling algorithm, we have two disadvantages. One is blocked and the second one is a starvation. What is a blocked? How? Means a process is blocked. One process is there. For example, here P1 is having a execution time 12 and P2 is having a 10. P3 is having a 5. Example. So P2 is having a highest example here. First we will write this one. P2 is priority is 1 and P1 priority is 2. Okay, and when P2 is executing, a new process is entered into a queue which is having a same priority 1. So what happened? This P1 is ready for execution, but it is blocked. Processor is busy. So when the process is ready for an execution, but the CPU is not free, then what happened? That process is moved to the blocked state. Okay, when the process is ready for the execution, and processor time is not given to that process, then what happened? That process is moved to the blocked state. Okay, this case you will get in a priority scheduling. Now come to the second one, starvation. Starvation means, example, here P2 is executing and P1 is waiting. Next P3 is entered with the same priority. Okay, and next after the P3, one more process is entered with the highest priority like this one. So what happened? Keep on, a new process are coming into a ready queue, but the process are waiting because the highest priority process are coming. So the process which is having the lowest priority, that process is waiting. Okay, so that is called as a starvation. So in order to solve the starvation problem, here in priority scheduling, we have a aging solution. Aging solution means, here aging what we'll do is, we'll take the factor of the aging factor. It is called as an aging factor. Aging factor will take one integer or any float value that will be added to a waiting process. So example, if the process is waiting with the priority 20, and after 1 day, if the process is keep on waiting, we'll deduct this 0.5 from the waiting time. So 0.5. So its waiting time is 19.5. So we'll apply the aging factor to the process which are waiting. So if you apply the aging factor, what happened? Based on the waiting time, the process will be assigned a new highest priority. Okay, so this is about your priority scheduling. I hope you all understood. Now I will explain the round robin scheduling algorithm. Okay. Round robin scheduling algorithm. So in a round robin scheduling algorithm is what happened is, whatever process are waiting in the ready queue, for each and every process, a fixed time slot is allotted to each and every process. Okay. So whatever time slot is given to that process, that is called as a quantum. Okay. Example, I am taking a class. My class duration is only 55 minutes. Next lecture class is 55 minutes. That is called as a time quantum. So when my 55 minutes is over, I have to leave the class. A new lecturer will come. Okay, that is called as it is the best example for your round robin. Means for each and every process, it may be highest priority, lowest priority, more execution time. It doesn't matter. For each and every process, we'll give the fixed time. After that time, the process need to leave the processor, and a new process will enter into a processor. And whatever time slot you are giving, that is called as a quantum. Okay, understood? And it is a preemptive scheduling. Preemptive scheduling means, as I said, after the given time, the process is forced to leave the processor. Okay, so that is why this is an example for a preemptive scheduling. Clear? And whenever a process, for any process, if the time slot is given, after that time slot, the process need to leave the processor, and the processor is given to a new process. And here we are following the context switching. Okay, context switching means what, as already I have explained. Context switching. Context switching is nothing but moving the processor between a process. So here after 55 minutes, a processor is moved to a new process. You are switching a process between a process. So that is called as a context switching. And when you are following a context switching, what happened? Here, context switching means it is a process which is used to save the state of the current process, which is living. Okay, state of the living process. State of the living process means, for example, P1 is there. P1 execution time is 10 milliseconds. But time quantum is only 5 milliseconds. So after the first we have given process to the P1 5 seconds over. Next to P2 5 seconds. Next to P1 again 5 seconds. So here the P1 again it should start from 6th second, not from the beginning again. So context switching, what is the use of the context switching? When the processor is moving between a process, this context switching will save the current state of the living process, and it will load the current state of the new process. Okay, understood? In the round robin, what we are doing? We are giving fixed slot to each and every process. If it is not completed its complete execution also, it has to leave the processor because time slot is over. That time slot is called as a quantum. Clear? Now, here we have number of advantages because each and every process is getting the same priority. But there is the overhead of context switching. Extra context switching has to run number of times. Clear? Now here I will explain with the table. Means with the number of process will calculate the average waiting time. Clear? Okay, just a minute. So here you can see how many processes we have. 4 processes we have. And here we have not using any priority, right? Just we are giving a execution time. You can say here P1 is 21 milliseconds, P2 3 milliseconds, P3 6 milliseconds, and P4 2 milliseconds. So here I am using a time quantum. Time quantum is time quantum I am giving a 5. Means for each and every process I am giving 5 milliseconds. Okay, now we'll draw the Gantt chart. P1 21 milliseconds. But how much time I am giving? Only 5. So 5. So remaining how much? 25, 16 is left. Okay. Now the next one is a P2. But P2 only the execution time is 3 milliseconds. So 5 plus 3, 8. Now P2 is over. Now come to P3. P3 execution time is 6. So P3. But how much time? Actual time quantum is how much? Only 5. So 8 plus 5, 13. How much time is left for P3? 1 millisecond. Now P4. P4 execution time is only 2. So 13 plus 2, 15. Over. But to complete this P1 and P3 is not completed its execution. So after the P1 again P4, after the P4 again P1. P1 so only 5 milliseconds is executed. Remaining 16 is there. Out of 16 I am giving again 5. So here it is a 20. 1 more millisecond is left. Now come to P3. P3 how much time is left? Only 1. So 20 to 21. Clear? Now we are 5 for the P1. Next 5. 10 over actually. 10 over means again it is a 11 it is. Now P1 21 plus 5. 26. Here only 5. Clear? Next 21 plus 26. 5 over more 6. Next again P1. 26 plus 5. 31. 1 more is there. Again P1 31 to 32. Okay. So for each and every process time slot is given. So first we have given to P1. P1 here 5, 10, 15, 20, 21. Next after P1, P2 only 3 milliseconds. Next P3 5. P3 5 here and 1 here. We are here. And P4 directly only 2 milliseconds that will be executed. Okay, understood? Now you need to calculate. First you take out this. Now we'll calculate the average waiting time. Here we'll calculate the average waiting time. Average waiting time of P1, P2, P3, P4. And what is the average waiting time here? P1 here 0. Okay, but again P1 where we have here. You need to calculate this waiting time. 5 plus 8 minus 5 means here 3. 3 plus 5 here P3 is 5 to the 3 plus 5 8. 8 again here it is 2. How much? 10. Next here it is 1. So it is 11. Okay. First P1 is started its execution. But here P2 execution time is 3 milliseconds. Next P3 execution time is 5, 8. P4 is 2, 10. So after this P1 got the slot. So here it is 10. Again after the P1, P3. It is 2, 11. So 5 plus 3, 8. 8 plus 2, 5 plus P2 is 5, 3. 3 plus 5, 8. 8 plus 2, 10. 10 plus 1, 11. Okay, this is for P1. Next we will calculate the P2. P2 waiting time is only the 5. Next P3, 8 plus here it is 2. 2 plus 5, 7. 7. Now P4 there is no waiting time. Waiting time is there. P4 it is 13. Now we have to calculate 15 plus 5, 20, 20 plus 11, 31, 44. 44 by 4. It is 11 milliseconds. But in a priority scheduling, only it is it's nearly 13. How much calculated there? I forgot. So you compare this average with it. It is not round robin. Okay. But here what advantage we have is each and every process will get the same priority. Clear? Here P1. First 5 milliseconds, next to P2, next to P3, next to P4. Again P1 will be started. P1 from the previous state. Previous it is a 5, so it will start from a 15. Okay, 15 to 5 again. Again here 21 to 25. Here 5 millisecond, 5 millisecond, 10, 15, 20, 21. 21 total execution time. Now come to P2, 3. Directly it will be executed in the first slot only. Next come to the P3. P3 is the 6. So first slot 5, second slot it is only 1. Now come to P4. In the first slot only it will be executed. Clear? So this is about your priority scheduling and round robin scheduling. In the next class I will explain multi-level queue scheduling and multi-level feedback queue scheduling. With that this chapter will over. Okay, understood? We take out this. We'll continue the next class. Thank you.